ನೋಡೋದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹೊತ್ತು Hi, hello, good morning. Navi and Santosh. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Varshita, you there? I'm not getting words. Okay, so we'll start. We had discussed what yesterday? Again, the basics, and we got an object of like what we are going to learn and what's the purpose behind it. And do you have any questions? Anybody?
No, sir.
Any questions? Hello?
No, sir.
No. Okay. So we'll start then. So we had got an idea how we can go ahead with this jobs and what is actually required knowledge to get into this field. So just that means like learning SAP and working in SAP doesn't mean that you are in a good job or something. So it will give you a good career. For example, Santosh is already an end user from 5 years. So he's working in SAP only. So that means there is some key things which we have to get that knowledge so that is in requirement and that is the need that's the need of some companies. They hire the people when you have that skills, and we got to know that so how consulting works and how end users jobs works and why a consulting has good growth here. A simple is, so most of the things works from the back end in SAP. That means most of the things are automated. It is just like simple, I tell you. So we start this one like what we do, like when we go to doctor and if you when you get some issues or something. Good morning, Ravi. When you get some illness or something, what you do? Generally, you go to doctor and he gives some different options. Good morning, Deepa. Different or like maybe so like one doctor may tell you something or he may have some different or like he may tell you first you take tablets, then you just do the scan, then you admit like that. You may tell anything like that. So like that, SAP has a lot of options here. SAP has a lot of options. So that options, having that options and analyzing and which is the best suitable option, which is the best suitable solution for the businesses. That is what the consultant duty. It is not like something mechanically just okay. We got in companies want to do we create company and other things and all keep going mechanically. Not so. Do not do mechanically. It's not useful. Just I as we discussed. So do you think anybody think that this basic accounting what we discussed last three classes? Do you think is it useful? Anybody?
Yes, sir.
Not personally, not personally. Like
Yes.
something you got some clarity about like what you have understood in colleges and what is the reality like that. Yes,
Yes,
Santosh.
sir.
Okay, nice. Okay, what about Arshita, Deepa, and Ravi and Naveen? Do you think Arshita, you just check it or check out your voice. Not getting your voice.
Yes, Arjunji. Yes.
Yeah. So why did I ask, right? So you might have felt okay first time who you are meeting me first time, like overall, and you might have felt, okay, what is this person is teaching or something. Like many people feel that I know, but coincidentally, I met one person yesterday. Okay, in a meeting after your class only at 3 p.m. Okay, and he is a consultant from last 14 years. Okay. So is a consultant from last 14 years. That means FICO consultant. And he is seeking for training. I was surprised. And I was having a discussion with him. And I asked, okay, what's your experience? Generally, I used to meet like people you like having some idea about SAP, or maybe some small like maybe 2 3 years of consultants like that. Normally, sometimes like some people become consultant, but they will they require some more like CO module in detail or something. They want to upgrade themselves like that. I used to get, but I got a person who is having 14 years of experience in FICO. After 14 years, he is seeking for a training. Then I asked, what's the reason and what's your experience? He said, I did 5 implementation. 5 implementation means it's a one end-to-end implementation. If you do it, okay, your value will go any day, like to the, it's really a good thing. One end-to-end implementation itself give you the knowledge of like whatever is required basically to grow in this field. But he did 5 implementation, a lot of projects in his career. Like what I'm telling, what is my experience is actually 12 years, but he is telling 14 years and he is seeking. Then I had a discussion. What is the what is your requirement? I asked. 1 second, please. Okay. Uh, so I asked. So he said that actually I showed all this whatever content we planned and other things and all like this is how it was. So he said, I know everything. I know all this. Then what is your requirement? I asked. See what he said now. See, basically, I'm a mechanical engineer and I did a FICO course and I became a consultant as well last 14 years back. The problem is what I'm facing from the last 14 years. I know how SAP works. And when someone asks something, I tell what's the solution. But I'm really not getting how these things works in finance. I'm still confusing with this GL, ledger, and but when the client asks when this, I tell the solution because I have come, but I try to understand many things, but I am not at all getting that. Where like how this nominal account, real account, personal account, what is this actually? How this flow will happen? So like this, so I basically what he wanted, right? He wanted a basic accounting concept. He knows SAP with SAP, basic accounting concept idea with SAP, with synchronizing the SAP knowledge. Think of this is what I used to tell before also, but I got a live example. Like if you become a CEO of a company, if you're not clear with what we discussed, maybe CFO, Chief Financial Officer, what we call, or Chief Financial Officer or something, CEO, CAO, Chief Accounts Executive, whatever it is. Unless you don't have the accounting basic concept strongly, what we discussed, you cannot be confident in your words. The same thing applies in SAP here, what we're discussing. That means what we're learning here. Please do not neglect that what we discussed. Not that only. Each and every class is important. Okay? Just have this in your mind. Now let us move to our part. So we had discussed and we are learning. So all the best to all of you. And now, from today we are learning SAP. Just when we are learning SAP, just we are going to learn in this way. We are learning the process wise. So the process means what? In finance, we know the basically the processes will come like this. Like we know the general ledger accounting, accounts payable, accounts receivable, assets, like this. The processes, different process, taxation, TDS, that, these, and all come. So when we are learning how to do these processes in SAP, that means See, it is not something, okay, go and okay, enter the posting interest. This is something need to be set up from the back end to work that process. That means if you want to do the general ledger accounting, what is general ledger accounting? See, the transactions happens between the debit and credit happens between the GL to GL. That we can call it general ledger process. Say, for example, cash and carry, sales credit to cash debit, or expenses, some expenses debit to bank debit. So the GL, see here, all these things are ledgers. I said the difference between general ledger and the ledger. The ledger is which is we prepare for accounting purpose. General ledger, which we use it for the statement P&L account. That is the values which will carry ultimately. So the meaning of this one. So we are to understanding here how to do the general ledger process. That's the first process which you are going to take up. That's the first process which we are going to take up, and we are learning. So then once we are okay with that, we are going to learn accounts payable, like how to do that. For example, what is the accounts payable? So go for like the same expenses debit to vendor credit, vendor or supplier, what we call it, vendor credit. Like that, we make a payment to vendor, and then the bank will come. So that means we discussed that in later stage, accounts payable, receivable, and all. But today we are understanding how we can do the transactions of general ledger process. Today we are learning how we can do the process of general ledger. So that is designed already here, as we discussed. So each topic is made with the timing and other things and all, like say, so first general ledger, accounts payable, receivable, bank, fixed assets, banking, cash journal, electronic, EBS, and taxation. EBS I may push it to down actually. I have that plan. Cash journal, taxation, because EBS is too early to teach you that those parts. And like this process, like how can we do the TDS and then other things like that. So the process. So when you're doing this one, keep it in your mind. When you're doing this one, please concentrate only on those things. Whatever you already learned and whatever the process is going in your company and whatever you already seen somewhere else in the YouTube when you're trying to understand SAP and whatever you have already idea made, you have gone through some training already, please ignore all those things. I repeat, whatever you already learned before or you understood in your like maybe in the companies you're working, or maybe you might have working in a different process or something. Don't compare those things, or you might have tried in understand through YouTube or blogs. Please don't compare anything, because that will create a confusion YouTube when you have 2 dimensions, 3 dimensions. Please sit with empty minded and just think, just get the things what we are telling right now. That is going to happen only this till here, till account receivables. Then afterwards, you are free to compare things and you are free to like distinguish whatever the things which you want to compare, or whatever the things you want to do. Because say when you start comparing in the initial stage, you get confused. What I'm telling you, your concentration will not get what I'm telling you. You will get a concentration on comparison. Say for example, yesterday we discussed about accounting, right? 3 classes. If you start comparing your accounting, you don't get this clarity, you don't get that clarity. That's how. So don't compare the things right now. So just be empty-minded and start learning. The first process which we are learning, general ledger process. But what is the organization structure? I tell you that. These are the 2 things which I'm going to cover today. Okay. So it's going to be, we plan for 2.5 hours, maybe 2 hours it will complete. So any process which you want to understand, first always remember, there should be any process which you want to understand. Always remember, there should be some setups we have to do. Okay. Say today we are learning general ledger process. This is the first talk about this one. For that, we have to set up. What is the meaning of setup here? We set up that process first, then we can do that activity. That activity we call the process. Activity, the process. Process also can be called as, we can like, we have to pass. Just assume that we have to pass this general entry, these 2 entries. Let me highlight this. Okay, we have to put the pass. So if you want to, we call this as a process, okay, or entries. This process will do it. That is nothing but journal entries. This journal entries we have to do. If you want to do this journal entries in SAP, we require this GL accounts. We know already sales account is a GL, cash account is a GL, stationery is a GL, bank GL. So that we call that GL accounts we call master data in SAP. We call it as a master data. This GL accounts. Okay. So that means ultimate goal of GL process we have to do. To do that GL process, we have to create the sales GL, stationery, bank GL like this. So if you want to create this master data GL accounts, you should have set up before that what we call it as customization or configuration. And do not go for any technical things right now. Like you might have understood like RPA structure, that, this and all. Those things will teach you when it is required, like when you are going for, like when you complete all those things for the interview purpose video. But in real time, we don't use all those things as a consultant. We don't require it all. But in interview purpose, little bit idea you should have that. So we call this as a configuration. What we are going to configuration? So we call it as a GL configurations we have to do. Also, we call it as chart of accounts in SAP. We call it as chart of accounts. So these are the three things which I want to do. That means I want to do this process, entries, and master data, I want GL accounts. To create GL account, I should have set up. But you want to do this one. So beyond this, like any process. So for example, tomorrow next class, we may do the accounts payable. Next process. Accounts payable we do. So there also we require configuration. That means ultimately accounts payable entries are like this. Okay, like expenses to vendor and this is the accounts payable. So if we want to do the accounts payable, ultimately the process is AP entries. Accounts payable journal entries. This is the accounts payable journal entries. So these journal entries, so we required vendor account. And for that, we required not GL configuration, AP configuration we call. So the process will go in the same way for the next, whatever the process which you want to learn. That means one is ultimate, what we are trying to understand, what process in account, like finance, we are trying to understand. And for that, what master data we required, we call it as like maybe vendor, GLs, customers like that. And configurations, what is the setups we have to do. So the process wise, we are going to learn like this. I hope it is clear to everyone. Please clarify your doubts then and there itself. So please clarify your doubts then and there itself. Don't think that, okay, let me watch this video again. It never works. I was telling it doesn't work, but I tell you it never works with my experience. You have to clarify in your mind what exactly the things are going on. Unless you don't ask the questions. Even I cannot ask every time, understood, understood, understood. I may ask 1 or 2 times. I may ask you 1 or 2 times, like in a class, or 3 times after once the things are done. But it's your responsibility, everyone, Deepa, Shita, Navin, Ravi, Santosh, it's your responsibility that you have to ask where you're not understanding what is the process is going on. It's your responsibility. I'm very clearly telling you. If you don't ask questions, if you don't clarify yourself, it may come to know but through Balraj. Balraj will get back to you and definitely he will ask some questions. Maybe he may ask you to get clarify something. Then you're going to catch up. Okay, please remember that. Yes. So these processes, we learn these processes. But before that, we have to set up an organization to do this process. Yes, of course, I want to do the process of general ledger, accounts payable, account. Yes, but I want a setup of structure, right? We call it as an enterprise structure. structure or organization structure. We have to set up a company to do these processes. Yes, of course, in real time, we call any companies and other things and all, right? We have to set up that. So enterprise structure, we are going to set up that company now, first, before doing this process. That is what it's mentioned here, organization structure or enterprise structure. Got it? So this enterprise structure in SAP, is enterprise structure or organization structure, which we want to create here to do this. Ultimately, our goal, remember, ultimately our goal is to understand these processes. Don't concentrate on the steps. So where I'm clicking, what I'm clicking. So what is like maybe what is this? What is the like what is this page or other? Don't concentrate. Our understanding how we can do the process, what we know from the college days, that finance process. In finance itself, you have a lot of dimensions. Lot of dimensions. You don't know that. Those things were because in like in college days or in companies as a users, we learn only some of the things. But you come to know that specifically when you go to this financial reports, right? That is where everything, the dimensions will change. This is the highlighting point. Your dimensions will change from there. Till there, what we are going to do? We are going to learn only the process of finance. Okay, how to do the accounts payable, if assets we can maintain, banking, how can I do that? Cash, how can I do that? How can I do this like advance payments? How can I do customer advance, vendor advance, like that? So like this, the things will go. But when you come here, then the actual dimensions will change. The ERP's importance, SAP's importance, like this. First, let us try to understand SAP. So what is the organization structure which you are going to do? So we'll set up a company and we'll do it. But in SAP, when you're setting up a company, not like, okay, just create something and do it. There are some steps to be maintained. There are some steps to be, like say, for example, we have around 8 steps to be done here. One is where we create a company and company code. And then we go for financial year. We call it as fiscal year in SAP. Period maintenance, period control, we call it. Then we go for document types and document number ranges. Then we go for field status. Then we go for tolerance. And finally, universal journal. These are the 8 steps which you have to do. So to set up a system, to set up a company and the company structure, we require minimum, this is the minimum requirement to understand the processes of general ledger or general accounting, whatever we call it. Whatever we call it, like general ledger, accounts payable, account receivables, to understand that this is the minimum once company structure we have to set up here. Ultimately, we require a company, that's it. But when you are posting a journal entry, like a lot of other things we may require, that is the minimum minimum mandatory things SAP is telling you have to do for maintain all these things. You have to maintain all these things. So once we set up these things, then we go for process setup. So ultimate target of today's target is we set up a process and we set up a general ledger accounting and we post these transactions. So the first process will get complete. So what are all these things? Company code, fiscal year, period control, or document types, field. It will discuss. So my request is, if you're not getting something here, don't worry. We'll make you understand how you are going to understand. That is, I'm telling, say for example, you may not understand this field status. I can make you understand fiscal year because from the college days, we know the financial year. Okay, financial year is April to March. We are very familiar. If I tell that, you will come to know very easily. But when I tell about field status is something is required only for SAP concept. It's not really, we cannot say at the time of like finance related or something what we learn. So you may not understand that one. And universal general, you may not understand at this point, but you are going to understand all those things in the future class. Something you do not get a clarity that I tell you, don't worry about this at that point in time. And something you definitely get it now only. What is that concept? But ultimately understand the process, not the steps. Okay, any questions? Shall we start?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Anybody, any questions?
No,
No,
Anand.
sir.
All right. Okay. So first thing is I already introduced about SAP. Those who are very new to SAP. I introduced yesterday that this is the home screen and other things and all I did. So operations wise, like maybe like what is this button? What is this button? Don't worry. By practicing and when the classes goes, those things is automatically come to your mind and you will get a clarity. See the process, what I'm trying to do here, the general ledger process or something, it is going to be done in the front end here. But the setting up always works in the back end. Setting up is always works in the back end. So here we have this command tab. We call this as command tab and we enter a T code here. T code means transaction code in SAP. So transaction codes are simple. It's a shortcut to the programs. Very simple. It's a shortcut to the programs. So the the programs, so you like it is not something like okay. So simple. I tell you one example here. So the specifically Ravi Kumar is very new to SAP, and you see here. I go to this path. So if I want to do any action here, I go through this path here. So accounting under the like financial accounting under the general ledger process under the document entry and this. If I go here, so give me a second. Yeah. So if I go here, this we call it as accounting like this. This the navigation. We call it as in path, navigation path. If I double click here, you just notice here we have this FB50 here. We have FB50. Okay, so this FB50 we call is a T code. So if you double click here, it will go to this path. So let me take a company, simple. I'll go to this one page, this application. See the same FB50 if I enter here, the same FB50. If I enter this in command tab, I'm entering here. FB50, that will take you to that page. This is the difference. That means when you know the T code, if you enter directly here, it will go to that page directly. If you can go through the path as well like this. The both are the best. That is what we call it as T codes. So don't worry right now. What's the T codes and other things right now? Just have this because if I want to do setups, I go to backend page here with the transaction code. Like if I want to enter to the setup process, I should enter a transaction process called SPRO, and I go inside here. So that means I can set up my company processes, whatever I'm planning here. I can do every activity here. I can do every activity here. So now to set up this my company, company and other things and all, I'm going to work in first backend, then the master data and the other things I can do it here. So in the front end, we know that this is front end and this is back end. Now let us move set up one by one. So company and company code is there. So company is just a group company, we call it group company. What's the meaning of group company? Like Reliance group of companies are there. Under that we have Reliance Digital, Tata group of companies are there. Under that we have TCS, we have Tata Beverages, Tata Tea, like that. A lot of companies are there. So the Tata group or Reliance group, we call it as a group company. So that we call it in SAP company. Company means it's a group company. Company code means what? Company code means it's legal entity identification to draw financial statements or reports. Say, for example, if you ask, okay, what is the profitability of Reliance Petroleum? Yes, Reliance Petroleum, this is the profit. And what is the profit of Reliance Digital? What is the profit of Reliance Fresh? What is the profit of Reliance something else? Print. So that means every like profitability of profit or loss, whatever it is, it's identified with based on the Reliance Fresh, Reliance Digital. Overall, we call group of companies. Profits do not identify or profit or loss or statements. Any reports you generate to the government or something, they have to like tell that okay, it's in this like for Reliance Fresh, I got this profit, or this is the P&L account. This is the balance sheet of Reliance Fresh, Reliance Trade this much, Reliance Petroleum like this. So when we identify a company to withdraw the statements, that we call it as a company code, that we call it like legal identification to draw the financial statements. Okay, company and company code is the difference. And here we have this, like this is going to be 6-digit code. So we identify with the codes always, remember, and this is 4-digit codes. That means we identify a company with a 6-digit code, and like just like your mobile phone, I can say like your like Deepa name. I have lakhs of people in Deepa here. Ravi lakhs of Santosh like that. But Deepa's mobile number is unique. All Deepa's mobile number is not going to be the same, right? The same way, the unique code we give it for company and company code. So to create these things, company and company code. So I use this B-22 GC, the 6-digit code. Like B-22 is a batch code which I'm using. GC means group company. And this one batch, this company. I use this one. You can use whatever you want. It can be alphanumerical. Remember, so any code here, you do most of the 90% of the codes are alphanumerical. You can combination of alpha numerical. You can give only alpha. You can give only numerical. You can give. It's your choice. But I give this B-22 is a company code, and group companies B-22 GC. How can we create this? So go to here, and I'm setting up this. So in like to go back to the backend page. So I already said I go to this SPRO is the T code. I go to backend page. Here we have many modules. I already said this yesterday. We have many modules like financial accounting, supply chain management, lot of things are there. So to set up the company code, we have to go to this enterprise structure. Enterprise structure. This is the module. So whenever you find this arrow mark here, we call that as we have still submodules under that. So under enterprise structure, we have definitions like this assignment or some other things are there. Under that here also we have this arrow mark definition. Under that we have different modules like financial accounting, controlling, logistics, lot of modules are enterprise structure. So here also we have arrow mark. So when you come here, you find this execution button, that is we call it as final page. So when you have the arrow marks means you have submodule under it. When you come, you got this execution button. This green color, what you're seeing here, it's we call it execution button. That's the final page. Here we have a lot of actions like define controlling area, credit controlling area. We have define company. A lot of things are there. So here I'm going to use this define company because I want to create company, group company that I execute this. When I find this, this is we call it as a new entries. This is we call it as a new entries. So here already many people have created their company because it's in the demo system, right? The demo system is exactly 100% what we use in the real time. They're exactly the same. Don't think that we use a different system in the, like when you go to the job, we use the same system, exactly the same, but it's a demo provided by SAP only. So when you are here, you are already created many companies are there, but it's not our, we have to concentrate on our things. So click on this new entries, click on this new entries. And here we have many tabs here. We have company, like name and other things and all. So first I'll enter this company and name, I'll mention B-22 group of companies. I do it from beginning. Company and group of companies. And after that, you can fill up if you're interested. You can fill up in real time. We fill up everything. Like we can fill up this address and other things and all. City I can enter like okay, Bangalore. So there's a one difference you should notice here. See, when I click here, you do not find anything here. Okay, but when I click here in the below tab, you will find something extra. So here, the difference between this tab and this tab is here I can enter Bangalore or else I can enter Bengaluru also. It's my choice. That means it's a freely definable tabs. You enter like group of companies, group of company like that we can enter. But when you find this radio button means, so which country it belongs to, language, which language it's using, currency, which language. So that means SAP already predefined some data identification for the countries. For example, if I'm telling India, there's already IN is there. I cannot enter IND or something like that. We have to select which is the country, which country already predefined code. So that means that what I'm trying to tell you here. So whenever you find some radio button in any tab, so that means it's already defined data is there. You have to select from here. And if it's not there, you can enter whatever you want, like Bengaluru, Bangalore, like that. So the country which I'm using, the creating is India, and the language which I'm using is English language for my company, that is EN. It supports 44 languages. And the currency which I'm using here, INR, Indian currency, it's already predefined. So that's it. Once it's done, you just click OK here or enter in keyboard. So system validate the data. Some validate means something, it's any wrong thing or not. So everything is okay. This is the saving button. Click on save. You find this. You find this. It's the first time when you find it. So do remember, first time when you find this, first time when you're creating. So generally it will be blank. Remember, I'm telling very clearly. First time when you get this, generally it will be blank. Both will be blank. If something is blank comes, what you can do? You can click on this. If something blank comes, you have to click on this create button, create request. What is that? This white button is there, right? Click on this button and enter your name and company code. Don't enter. What is this actually transport request? And we call this as a transport request or customer's request. We discuss in the later stage, actually, in that systems tables are there at that time, because it is required for real time. Right now, it is not required for understanding the processes. So here you can enter, like my enter B-22 Arjun Islands. That's it. And don't worry, just enter your company code and name and click save here. And one-time activity. This once you have done, every time whenever you are doing any activity, it will pop up the same thing. So it will give some number and save it. That's it. So you can see here data saved. My group company code is created. The second one, we can go back to the create company code. Just go back here. This is the go back button. If you go back here, it will go back. Green button, what you are doing. The second one is here. I want to create a company code under the same navigation path, enterprise structure. We call this as a navigation path. Edit, copy, delete, check company code. So I'm creating a company code B-21. Again, click on this execution button. Click on this edit, copy company code data. Go to new entries. Here also, there are many companies or company codes already created by others who is using this SAP for practice purpose. So we can click on this enter new entries here. And we can create our company. My company code, which I decided is B-22. So I create list, okay? B-22. I always use this name, Technosoft Limited Private Limited. This is the name of my company and this is the code in SAP we identifying. And again, here also, you have free text and predefined the radio button is there. So I can enter Bangalore here, but I have to, which country it belongs to? It belongs to, again, it's India, IN. And the currency which I'm maintaining here, INR. Or my company, the currency which I'm using, and the language is English. You can select. And again, now you see, when you try to save this, so I updated my company details, company code details, I save this, I get a pop-up. You can maintain a detailed one here. Detail like communication, who is mobile number and other. In real time, we maintain for printing purpose and other things. But right now, you don't need to maintain. So what you see any tab here, like this, we call this as mandatory tab. That means you have to enter, like when you're filling up a form, right? Always generally we see that star, like mentioned with like star is a mandatory field. You have to enter that field like that. Okay, so in SAP, we identify with the tick mark. So if the tick mark is there, that's the mandatory field you have to enter. So when you're trying to save this, system will pop up this. You can fill up the data if you're interested, or else you can fill up what is mandatory here. That's the country. I enter. Country is again IN. And click OK here. So again, you see any configurations, only configuration I'm talking, any configuration where you're trying to do, system always give this customized request or transport request. We don't need to understand what it is. First time what you created, right? It will automatically come, that number. Every time it will come for your, in your system. It will pop up the same thing. You don't need to worry to create every time. You don't need to create this. Only one time, first time only when you're creating company. But every configuration, definitely it will come. Everything, whatever we are doing here. So just relax. What you can do, just click every time, blindly click. Whatever it comes, just blindly click. So data saved. And right. Two things we have done. Hmm? Any questions? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Any questions?
No.
Anybody?
No, Anand.
No, sir.
Okay. So we take a break now and we'll continue after 15 minutes exactly. Okay. We'll take 15 minutes break due to some reasons. And it's now time now is 11:18. We'll connect at 11:35. Okay. 11:35. We'll come back and we'll continue this. Hmm? Yes. Hello.
Sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. See, we created a company in company code, and a company should have one financial year. What the financial year they follow. So that's what is required. The financial year. We call it as SAP, in SAP fiscal year. Fiscal year means it's financial year. So which financial year my company follows? That we have to tell the system. What is the financial year which my company follows? So for financial year identification in SAP, we already predefined codes. Predefined codes are there. That means it's 2 digit codes. Like say for example, we have K4. We call it as like Jan to December. So if you select K4, it's a Jan to December. If you select V3, it's April to March. April to March. V6, it is June to July. Sorry, July to June. V9. So that means, so we identify here, we identify financial years. We identify financial years with this 2 digits code in SAP. When you want to tell the system, that means which financial year your company code is going to follow, you can create or you can choose which. Say for example, I'm going to follow this. It's November, right? Okay. Jan to December. I'm going to follow this Jan to December company code. Sorry, my God. That means in India we follow April to March, but I use for training, I use this Jan to December. So this already predefined codes are there. This predefined codes which we can use it for the purpose of like, okay, what financial year my company follows. That's it. So I follow this predefined K4. If you would like to go like, oh, you can go to V3, V6, V9 like this, whichever you want, you would like to go, you can go. But follow this V4, K4 only. My suggestion, initiative, it's going to be easy in future classes in understanding the periods and other things and all. So because you will get a little bit confused with the period codes, you will come to know that. So now we are ready with, so this is not required and this one. And as I mentioned, the difference between T codes and path. The path means we go through like this, which I already said. So we go through this path. So this is what we call it as a path. And these paths also can be, as I mentioned, like I can go through the T codes as well. What I do here afterwards, I'm going to use the T codes only. I do not use the paths because paths, if I go here, say for example, I can go to the fiscal year, I can go to here under this, the same SPRYMG. I can go to financial accounting. Under that, I have this financial global settings, under that ledgers, under that fiscal year. Like this, I can go through the paths for everything, not a problem. But going through this, it will divert your concentration like than the topic. So my suggestion is here afterwards for everything, almost everything, I'm going to use the path. So T codes. I do not use the path. Do remember. But when you are practicing, you follow the path only. How? I'll provide you the notes for it. So whatever the way which I'm telling, which already Deepa I have, Deepa and Arshita I have, but I'm going to share that. So for So you find you will get this file, and every step which I already explained, everything is here already. So from the beginning of define company code, company creation, fiscal year, what we are talking going forward, what we are going to talk, everything is here. You don't need to worry about the paths and where to click on what to click. You find all the details here. Like I'm going to explain the steps on basic configuration like this, and you find these all the steps like group company, company code, fiscal year, coaching period, what we discussed, everything. So where to click, what to click, how the path. For everything, you find almost everything. You find path as well as the T code. But now onwards, remember, now onwards, I use only T codes. But when you are practicing, please refer this file and use the path only. Don't use the T codes in the beginning. It will help you to understand SAP better. So the way which I'm going to teach you, the same way I explained here in the notes as well. Say for example, this TR transaction request or so like a transport request or on this customer's request, which I said, like you mentioned your company code and the name. See, customizing requests are called a transport request, which are used for configuration data from the client. Customizing, once it's created, can be used again and again. No need to create new customers after each step. So when we learn the details, customizing request in the detail, the future classes, um, like under the topics here, types and topic. I mentioned all these things. So now, what I'm trying to tell you here, for everything, I don't use the path as I used here. I use only T code. Say, for example, for company, we can create the company code in OX15, company creation, OX02 for company code creation, and fiscal year, we can do that in OB2 like this. Got it? Everybody is getting?
Yes, sir.
Jimmy.
Nice. So now we have this fiscal year and company code. And company, we created company. We are creating in a separate pages, remember. We are creating in a separate pages. We are creating a separate pages. That means I created company in one program, and I created company code. And how come system will come to know, okay, this company belongs to this company code. This company code belongs to this. That means this this is the group company, and this company code is to this group of company. It do not know, the system do not know. And okay, this company code follows this financial year. So that means what I'm trying to tell here. So we have a step called assignment in some steps. We call it as a assignment. Okay, assignment means we are linking here in this step, we are linking company code and company code to company. That means we are telling the system this company code, it's a subsidiary of this company, this group of company. That's what we are doing. The T code for that is OX16. Assign company code to company. So what I do here, just go to OX16, the T code. You can enter the OX16 T code here. And here you find this position button. That means whatever the company codes which you created, it will come here. In the position button, you can find out which is your company code. I go to position button BI-22 and click on position button and click on this BI-22. So that will highlight on the top. And here you can enter what's your company code. My company code, I tell you. My company code is BI-22. My group of company is this. Company code is GC. So that I'm telling that. So this company code is belongs to this group of company code. System understands that. And save this. Again, I get the same TR. Just click OK. Now, the next step which we have to do here, financial year. So I link this. Yes, okay. I said the system, okay, this company belongs to this company code. And now the financial year. So my company code, so everything is company code only because I'm making a financial statement for, okay, we are going to create a financial statements and other things for a company code, not a company. Group of companies, multiple company codes will add. So here my company code will follow which financial year I have made this. I can check out this one in OB2, right? Click OB2, right? There are many people created many things. Actually, in SAP standard, when you buy a new SAP, in real time, we find only this much. K4, V3, V6, V9, or also or a couple of additional. That's it. But here we have many things. Okay, ignore. But what you can do, I'll just see here. I'll bring up this K4. Go to position. Position button, if you click here, I bring up this K4 on the top. I select this. And also I go to position and I bring up this V3. So what is this V3 code? These are the codes which identify. K4 is the Jan to December, it identifies. V3, it's predefined already. April to March. To bring these two lines together, as I selected, I do not create anything. I selected this, I bring this, I click on this copy, but because it will bring both the lines together so that I can compare it easily. Here, the K4, if you notice, it is mentioned with this tick mark. This is not tick mark. So that means if you click this calendar, here, so that's a calendar. System automatically comes to know it's a calendar year, K4. So if it's not clicked here, means it's the financial stats other than calendar. It can be February, March, April, any date. April to March, February to January, or July to June, June to July, like that, June to May, like that. Means, so these things will, this one tick will change. It's a calendar year or it's non-calendar year, financial year. Is it equal to calendar year or not equal to calendar year? And also here, I'm not going to create anything because it's already there. Just this is only for the purpose of to show you how it works. You don't need to create anything. So I decided, okay, let me use it. And one more thing which you should notice, there's a number of periods is there. So a financial year generally divides into periods. Okay. So generally we use like 1 month as one period, like 12 periods. And special period is there that we discuss later stage. Number of periods, which is the normal periods we call it. So number of periods, we call it like 12 periods we made. 12 means like each month has one period. That is divided into 12 periods, that financial year. That's not divided, that's consistent. That consists 12 periods. Now we don't need to do anything, just have understanding of this and go back. In the next step, there's a one T code called OB37. So now I'm going to tell the thing, system assignment of fiscal year. So I'm telling the system, my company code B-22 follows this K4. My company code B-22 follows this K4. Go to OB37. And find your company code. And tell, okay, here you can select go inside or else you can directly enter. It's your choice. Follows this K4. So that system come to know, okay, this from B-22 follows the K4, the Jan to December financial year. Click OK here, just. The same thing which I explained in the notes as well. We said the differences of company and company code, the paths, and come to here fiscal year, assign group company code to company, the path, and fiscal year. The same explanation is here. A4, V3, everything. So once this fiscal year is done, that fiscal year is consisting of periods. Period means I said 12 months it may consist. So we have to do some setups here relating to periods. There are 3 steps to be done here for that. One is we call like posting period variant. We create, then assign posting period to company code, then maintain posting period, not periods. So these three steps to be done related to that means we have 12 periods in SAP this financial year. So these 12 periods we are going to control. The dates we are going to control in simple words if I want to tell. What's the dates? So dates I can say like, okay, this date or something like, okay, the dates, which date is allowed for the posting transactions. Because you cannot enter like say something, okay, you cannot use any date. Okay, you can go back and post something in 2020 financial year. You cannot go back in 2030, you cannot post. So we are going to control the dates here. What are the dates or the periods we call it allowed to post the journal entries or the financial transactions with these steps. So one thing is in financial year, we have 12 periods. The 12 periods, which are the allowed financial years or allowed periods, means the allowed months to post the journal entry that we control through this step in our company. You understand, I feel. That means in financial year, what are the 12 periods which we have? So in the 12 periods, what periods means what months which are allowed to post the transactions of financials. We control through this step. So for that purpose, we have to do these 3 steps. That is, one is variant, we call it. The concept of variant principle, we discuss later stage, how that works in the variant principle. What is variance actually, we call it. Right now, just create a variant. So when I'm creating a variant, always remember, it's a 4-digit variant. I use the same variant codes. That means, see, for company identification of company code, I used BI-22. The same code I use it for posting period variant also. Because it's going to be easy you to synchronize the codings because we use many codes like this for each and many things. Example, field status variant we create. So there also we use code. That means if you maintain the same coding like BI-22, so it's easy. That way you don't maintain, okay, for one thing is BI-22, another thing is ABCD, something is XYZ. Then you cannot understand, you cannot find what you created in future classes. It's going to be difficult. In real time also we follow the same way. Follow the same codes. So for posting period variants is also 4-digit code, which I'm going to create if BI-22. Then I'm going to tell my company code will follow this posting period variant. Then I've maintained the periods, dates, which are the periods are allowed for posting. For this, the T code is for the, I use the T code OBPO and OBP, sorry, this is OBBP and this is OBPO and this is OB52. Okay. These 3 steps which you have to do. Over here, OBBP. See, why this is one more thing. If you are seeing this one, what you should do, I tell you. Specifically, Santosh and Ravi Kumar and Naveen. See, this means somebody is locked. But I tell you how to do this. Right now, not right now. I tell you later stage. Right now, just I'll correct that because I don't want to divert the topic. Go to OBPP. Sorry, it's actually reverse again. I only confused. This is OBPO and this is OBPP. OBPO. So here, let's go to new entries. B-22, the variant code. Like I create like posting period variant or B-22. Enter and save it. So the second step is OBBP. Go to assignment means commonly the same. Okay, assignment. So go to position and find your company code and assign the code. Assign this variant code which you create. I created variant BF122. I'm just telling that I'm going to follow the control the periods using this variant. Save. Then finally OB52. Here OB52. Enter your variant what you created. I created this variant. Right? Enter here. So go to new entries. And click plus here. Plus, why do you use account type plus? That at a later stage. It's deeper subject of account types. There are 5 types of accounts that we discuss later. So just enter plus here. And here enter 1 and of 2024, 12, 2020. What's the meaning of this? I tell you. So the meaning of this one, I allowed in my company code, that is in B-22, allowed periods. Period means the dates which we can use it to post the financial transaction from the January to December, we are allowed. If your financial year is followed from April to March, 1 to 12 means 1 is April 2024, March 2025. That means the depending on, like here it's a period we call it, not the month, like January, February. If my financial year is Jan to December, then Jan to December I allowed. If my financial year is April to March, then April to March is allowed. That is the meaning of that. Here it's a fiscal year. This is a financial year what you enter. It's not a calendar year. Which are the financial year which you follow? In financial year, what dates are allowed? I am allowing from Jan to December for my company code. Okay, got the idea? So here in other words, I tell you. So this is the variant which I created. I linked to my company code and that I maintain the dates. Okay, April to March, Jan to December, I can post the transaction. Means we can like we can post the transactions, financial transactions. If you mention only, for example, if you mention only here November 11, 11. The meaning of this only November period is allowed. The present period is November, right? November is allowed to post the transactions. No December dates cannot be used for financial transaction, no even October and beyond that. You cannot use it. So what I use here, Jan to December. I hope it's clear to you, everyone. Is it clear?
Yes.
Nice. So once this is done, there are other 4 steps are there. One is document types, we call it. For the document types, I have a very good explanation here itself. I show you that. The posting period variant, everything is very clearly explained in the same way. Whatever I explained, you can read it out again. Document types. The idea behind document types is, see, document types which classifies the transactions. Classifies the transactions means, right? So we have sales document, we have cash and carry, we have vendor credit to purchases, credit sales, cash receipts, cash payment or payment through bank or depreciation. Like this, lot of type of transactions we do, right? Lot of type of transactions. So document types which classifies the transaction. That means it identifies what type of transaction it is. Easy to identify the transaction. You can take this example here in the below. So we have this sales and cash credit. That means sales, cash sales, and expenses, cash expenses, expenses to cash. And we have depreciation. See, depreciation is a different transaction. Cash sales is different, and credit expenses is a sorry, this one credit purchase is different. So what SAP in SAP what we do? So it is like we identify with the document type. It's a two-digit code. We identify with the document type. Like for example, GL to GL transactions we identify with the SA, GL to GL transactions SA, and depreciation AF, and vendor payment KZ, vendor invoice booking KR, like this. Okay. So one thing is this is an identification. I mentioned here document types which classify the transaction. It's a two-digit code which is mandatorily used at the time of post transaction. That means financial transactions when you're posting, so we have to use the document types. So that means you don't need to worry. That's all I mentioned here. Below are the examples of user type based on the type of transaction types is used. Most of the time system automatically proposes or applies the document types for posting. This is important. Most of the times system automatically proposes or applies. So no need to remember and mug up all these things. Just have idea. So there's a concept of document type which is used to classify the transactions. That's it. That's what is required. And you don't need to do anything also. Below are only for information. You don't need to do anything. As per SAP standard provided document types, no need to create new. SAP is already provided a standard document types. You don't need to create also. Below screenshot only for just information. That means you don't need to do any activity, just information. Just like in fiscal year we have done, right? We got to know how this K4, V3, V9 is there. Similarly, in document types also. But document number ranges is there, right? So the number ranges means we have to create a number ranges here. So you have to go to FBN1. FBN1. Document number ranges creation. So what is the meaning of number ranges? Say whenever you do the transactions in online, right, you get a reference number. Here, most all of them are experienced, so that I don't need to go for that much deeper. But I tell you a simple example. So when you post any trial, like so when you buy anything in online, like maybe in the Amazon or maybe in the Flipkart, anywhere you buy it, you get an acknowledgement like for future reference. The meaning of that one. So it will give a number to you, number or some combination of alpha numerical. So that is going to be in the reference that some transaction is happened. Like that, every postings, financial transactions you post in SAP, so that generates one number for the reference. That generates one number for the financial journal entry, whatever you posted. So that numbers, what it has to be generated, we maintain here in FPN1. In FPN1, we maintain that. So what we do here, so go to FPN1. So that's what document types I showed and number ranges I'm showing now. There are many number ranges already there. You don't need to manually do it. So for example, you can enter that company code 0001. So the 0001 and 1710 is a standard. Generally, 0001 is standard SAP company code. Because from that we can copy many data. What the data? Example under 0001 is already many number ranges are there. See, you can create manually also. You can add the numbers like this, you can add and you can enter manually for your company code also. What is the use? So simply it's a data entry. So here, if you notice, there's already predefined numbers are there that we can directly use it our company code. It is under It is under 0001. Now what I do, instead of creating manually here, there are three buttons which you can see. You can display that numbers, what is already there. You can create the numbers with the middle one, and the last one is you can see the status. The same it will show in a status. It will open here. Number NR means number in status. So instead of creating manually one by one, because when you see here in my company code like B-22, if I click on this create button, there is nothing is there. You can enter manually what you want. So why do you want? You just simply what you do now. Click on this copy button. There's a copy button is there. Click on this and enter 0001. I'm telling the system copy this data from 0001 to parent. In real time also we do the same thing. Let's copy it. Let's see. Number range is copied. Simple. Everything is copied from there. Now you see here in B-22, the number ranges are there already. This is used, this number range is based on some sequence. So when you post the transactions, system is going to generate the numbers here from here, series for acknowledgement number or reference number for future. Just like Amazon or Flipkart example I said, right? For each financial transactions, it will apply. Got it? Yeah. So this number range is completed. Finally, we have this field status, tolerance, and universal now. So the field status, the concept of field status is in the below. Your number ranges, I mentioned whatever you want to do. So each final FI document types must be assigned with a number range and it's posted for the future reference. So next we'll go to the field status. The field status group variant we call it. Okay. Also FSG or FSB variants. So used to control the fields are required, optional, or hide at the time of posting FI transactions. Which data is mandatory, which data is optional for GL transactions. It's assigned to GL accounts will be created. So you'll come to know that. Example narration. So that means what I'm trying to here. See, when you are filling up any data or any form or something, where when you're posting any transactions like that, sometimes you have to you have like there is something like we call like mandatory we have to enter or some star will come, right? As I said already. So we at the time of posting financial transactions like journal entries when you're posting, right? Journal entries. So what are the information? It is mandatorily we have to update. Example, you may have like narration you want to enter. That narration we can make it mandatory. Okay, everybody enter what is the being. Narration means being or whatever we enter, right? Like that. So the transactions you can mention like that. Narration. We can make it. We can make it optional. It can be if it's optional, we can leave it blank. If it is in mandatory, we can make it mandatory. How? By using this field status concept. That's the usage of them. You understand better in deeper this one in the future classes. Okay. However, we'll touch some of the parts of this one in the future classes. So right now, just have this much idea. If you're not understanding this, do not worry about it. Just relax. What you can do, there are many field sets out there because you cannot create like manually. This is very difficult. So go to the T code called OBC4. Go to T code called OBC4. This step, blindly do it. Nobody try to understand this. Okay, just have this information. I definitely will discuss this in the future class. Blindly, this step and next step, just blindly do it. Go to OBC4. And there is already 0001 is there. That is like because see under 0001, you select this, go to field status group. There are many groups are there. Like around 44 groups are there. Under that, if you double click on this, under that we have many things. Under that, if you double click, we have many pages under that. It's mandatory. We can create manually, but it's a waste of time. Okay, what you can do, simple. Select this 0001. Again, click on this copy button here and enter your field status variant. My field status variant, again, 4-digit code I use the B-22 because I'm following the same for all. I'm following the same for all. B-22. 4-digit code. That changed that. What did I do now? I just selected this, obviously selected 0001 and I click on copy and making this changes like B-22 and tell the system field status variant for B-20. Enter and it will ask you for click copy all. Just click on copy all and click OK. That's it. Done. It is copied. Now, if you see this B-21, everything, whatever it was there, it's there. And save this. Next one. So we have to tell the system we follow this field status. That's it. The assignment. Again, the assignment of the same concept of assignment of fiscal year and assignment of this posting period or assignment of company code like that. Assign field status variant FSP to company code. Tell the system I follow this field status. So if you're not understanding what is field status, don't worry. Just ignore, blindly do these 2 steps. We definitely discuss in the future class. The assignment is OVC file. The T code is OVC file. Assign field status variant. OVC file. Go to position and find your company code. So now the company code B-22 follows the field status variant B-22. Saves. The last 2 steps. Is it clear till now? Any questions at this moment? Anybody? Any questions at this moment? Anybody?
No, sir.
I know for me it's a little bit difficult at this moment to follow the steps. If you can just go through the notes instead of
Okay.
going through the video, go through the notes again. You
Sure,
remember
Arvind.
what I discussed, and the important thing is don't follow the steps. Okay, so here you have to click on. So whatever I'm telling, the logic behind it. Try to
Okay.
understand that logic. That's it. That's very much important. Okay.
Okay. I'll go through the notes. Yeah, I'm a little bit confusing. I'll go through the
Yes,
notes.
I can understand. I can understand because Santosh is already an end user. He can easily catch up to things because the screen familiarity is with him. Maybe he may not understand the concept suddenly, but he gets up
Yeah.
the screen. Yeah. And
Daily
deep,
basis using the same T code is closing the accounting in
yes,
R2R.
that's what you can catch up easily. And coming to Deepa and Arshita, have some already experience relating to these things, so they don't feel difficulty here. And Naveen also, Naveen, you just have to go through this again, notes, and also you have to just get the idea behind. First important thing is I always expect is understand it. Don't try to mechanically do it. See, if we give it in child, okay, you go here and update the T code and click here and update this. Even they can do it. Okay. So why we are doing here? We have to understand this. What is this actually? Please remember that. Okay. Mechanical way of doing is waste. Because everybody is going to be catch up at this moment. I'm telling you. Repeatedly, I'm telling. Everybody is going to catch up here. If you don't follow, if you don't understand what I'm telling, what we are like, if you do not try to understand what we are trying to do. So that's the reason you have to understand what we are doing.
Okay, Arjunji.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice. So there is a tolerance and universal journal. It's very two simple steps are there. Okay. So tolerance means very simple, like we limit the difference posting. Limit the difference posting. Say for example, Ravi is my friend, and I'm working in, and like just assume that I'm working as a cashier in Big Bazaar, or maybe whatever the name is changed right now, leave it. Okay, one in a hypermarket or supermarket I'm working, and Ravi is my friend, and he comes and he pays everything, and the bill around it comes, okay, 957 rupees. Just assume that 957 rupees it will come. So if I make round of 57 rupees, okay, I'll ask him, okay, rounding of 57, not discount actually, rounding off. We know that rounding of like, okay, well, like 50 paise, 66 paise, 30 paise, like we round off, right? Okay, round off limit, you will get it in the bank interest or something when you're paying GST or when you're paying this mm, income tax or something, rounding off it will come. So if I round off 57 rupees for a 957 bill, is it going to be correct? Because he is my friend. I say, okay, it's round of 57. So there should be a rounding of limit to the employees. Okay, how much an employee can round off? It should be like around one plus or minus 1 rupee or 2 rupees. So that's the tolerance. Meaning of tolerance means we limit the difference posting. A rounding of difference means rounding off, I guess. Rounding off. How much a rounding off can a do employee can do? How much and like and for the GL we can rounding off, for vendors and customers we can round. This is what we do. Okay, the meaning of rounding and that limit always means we fix it here. That's it. How much is the limitation for rounding off for vendors, customers entries, GL entries, and an employee limit? Are you getting what is the idea behind it? Everybody got the idea? What is tolerance? And limit the rounding of postings. I cannot round off like more than 1 rupee. Like that, I can fix it. An employee, as an employee for the GL, or more than one rupee, more than 2 rupees, like that, we can do it. Got it right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So these three things we can do it in a key code called OBA4, OBA0, and OBA3. Okay, tolerance for employee, tolerance for GL, tolerance for vendor and customer. Three things. The simple steps, just go here. Go to position. So not position, go to new entries. And one thing you should, for all these three things, for all three tolerance, group should be blank. Group should be blank. Remember. So why we discuss that later stage. Just right now, just because you don't come to know if I explain that also. Just leave the group blank because there is a groups are there. So here is the group. So we have this group here. Just leave it blank in all three steps. So enter company code BF122 and enter the amount per document means what is the limitations for an employee to post the transactions. I can make it maximum. Even the amount per open document, open item, we discuss open item later stage. And the discount, how much the discount? 10% you get. Just first three things, it's not useful right now. These three things what we have discussed, this entered here, not useful right now. We discussed later stage. And right now enter this and enter this. Important things, the limitations we can mention here. Revenue, and that means an employee can make in BF-22 company code 1 rupee plus or minus. The rounding of limit is 1 rupee. That's what I mentioned here. 1 rupee, 1 rupee. Save this. The second is OBA0. That is for GL. Go to new entries here. Enter BF-22. Company code, and again the group, it's a group I am telling. This group should be blank, and enter the narration. GL tolerance for BF-22. And here is the again 1 rupee, 1 rupee I'll mention. Means for GL transactions, maximum 1 rupee differences can be done, plus or minus. Save it. And the last one is OBA3. Go to new entries, again company code, enter BF-22. And the group should be blank again. Tolerance for when customer BF-22. Here is the revenue. Revenue 1 rupee. And that means plus or minus 1 rupee. Maximum. For all these things I had given. So that the difference rounding of limit only 1 rupee, we can make it here. Finally, the last step is universal journal. So in the universal journal, the last step, see, it's a very big concept, but I don't want to go for deeper at this moment. What you do now, simple. Go to a T code. So this we discuss in deeper stage, specifically when we go to this parallel ledger. We have to go through the parallel currency and parallel ledger. It's going to be the big topic in the universal journal. So right now, universal journal, what you can do now, because it's introduced in S4HANA only. So this is the T code for this. FINC underscore ledger. What you do here, just a simple. So don't worry about the deeper subject right now. I don't want to make you to understand this subject at this moment. We discussed in the later stage. So in a deeper at the parallel ledger and parallel currency, as well as in the future classes. Like for example, if you go to this we don't have other topics. At this moment, definitely, we have to discuss this universal journal in deeper subject. Oh, yes, at the FSV point. FSV, financial statement versions, we are going to discuss that. Okay. So right now, what you do, simple, do the steps in blindly. For universal journal, or a leading ledger, we call it. What is leading ledger? Don't worry. Leading ledger, 0. ನಮ್ಮನೆ ಅಜ್ಜಿತಿರೋ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಸೌಂಡ್ಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಕ್ಟ್ ಆಪೋಸಿಟ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಮಾತಾಡೋದು ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಿದೆ ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ಡಿಸ್ಟರ್ಬೆನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆಯಾ
Hello. Yes, sir.
ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ಇದೆಯಾ
Disturbance.
ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್
Hello.
what
Disturbance.
we do, we'll continue this in the next class. However, in 12:30, I thought of getting the GL also, but Now it's difficult to tell. Maybe each time I go. What we do, we discuss this lecture in the next class. We will discuss this in the next class. And what you have to do, what are the assignments and other things, Balraj will instruct you what you have to do at the public sector. Okay. Whatever the doubts you get, please clear it with your communications. And how many times you have to practice, what are the assignments you have to submit, always instruct you by the maybe immediately instruct you. Okay. Okay, got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then we'll meet again next week, same time. Bye-bye. Okay.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.